The Life of Itona Horibe, Assassination Classroom. Itona Horibe is the second assassin transfer student to arrive at Class 3E following the previous assassin Ritsu. He initially served as a secondary antagonist before ultimately joining Class E for good. Welcome to the Amagi. In today's video, we're going over the life of Itona Horibe. Before we begin, we publish a new video every day, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. The Amagi's reach stretches beyond just this channel, so if you're a fan of us, please consider subscribing to our other channels and following us on all of our social media accounts. Help us reach our goal of passing 100,000 followers on all of our accounts by the end of the year. And with that out of the way, let's get into the video. History. Itona is the son of Horibe Electronics Factory's former president. After his father's company went bankrupt, Itona was abandoned and sent to live with his uncle, which caused bullies to target him. They called him a weakling with no money or home. This caused Itona's obsession with power and victory. One night, Itona was found by Shiro, who told him that in his eyes lies a tenacity for power, and that he would help him achieve that power in order to grasp victory, and to become the strongest man in the world. Transfer student time, second period. Itona makes his debut in Chapter 29 as the second transfer student to Class 3E. Upon his entrance, he walks through the back wall of the classroom with the class exclaiming to him to use the door, and states that he's victorious and has proven himself stronger than the classroom's walls. The class states that another pain has turned up, and Koro-sensei has an odd and unreadable expression on his face. Shiro introduces himself and tells Koro-sensei that he'll be watching over Itona for the time being since he's spoiled him a bit. While Nagisa Shiota notes that the two have probably had more than their fair share of problems, Karma Akabane asks Itona why he's dry when it's pouring outside and he wasn't carrying anything. Itona starts glancing around the room until his eyes fall on Karma. He starts telling him that he's probably the strongest in the class, but he's weaker than him, so he won't kill him. He then gets up and states that he only wants to kill those who might be stronger than him, and in the classroom that only means Koro-sensei. In response, Koro-sensei asks Itona if his talk of strong and weak refer only to fighting, and that in a contest of strength, he wouldn't be able to stand in the same dimension as him. Itona says that he can because they're brothers related by blood, shocking the rest of the class, even Koro-sensei himself. After stating that, Itona tells Koro-sensei that as siblings there's no need for petty tricks and that he will kill him and validate his strength. He sets up the time for it for after school in the classroom and tells Koro-sensei that that would be his final class and to say his farewells to the other students. He then exits through the hole he made in the wall. Later, the students of Class E are noting the similarities between the new transfer student and their teacher, like how they both have a sweet tooth and how they both look at gravure magazines. The latter provokes Okajima to state that he sees them in a more realistic light, and that they're all brothers when it comes to liking big chests on women. Kayano asks why Koro-sensei doesn't know about him if they're brothers, and Fuwa begins to let her imagination run wild with a story about Prince brothers separated due to war. While Kayano and Hara are trying to make sense of her story, Nagisa glances at Itona, who briefly glances back before returning to his magazine. The school day continues and it's now the final bell, thus the time for the match. The classroom has been turned into a fighting rink of desks. Shiro makes one rule for the match, and that's if Koro-sensei takes one step out of the rink, then he'll be executed on the spot. By doing this, he's given Koro-sensei no place to run because if he breaks a rule that's decided in front of everyone, then it'll ruin his credibility as a teacher. Koro-sensei agrees to that and lays out the condition that harming the students watching will also mean defeat, which is agreed to. Shiro calls the signal, and upon it, Itona lops off Koro-sensei's arms and in the process reveals that his hair doubles as tentacles. This answers Karma's earlier question of how he remained dry in the rain despite having nothing with him. Koro-sensei's face becomes black as he grows with anger, asking where Itona got those tentacles, surprising him. Shiro responds by saying that they have no obligations to tell him, and that despite the fact that Itona has a different background and parents, they're indeed brothers. He then proceeds to taunt him by asking if those tentacles bring to mind something unpleasant, which it does. Koro-sensei says that he needs to ask some questions as well, as Shiro responds by saying that he won't as he'll be dead, and then proceeds to shine a beam on Koro-sensei which makes his body go rigid. Itona then proceeds to relentlessly and mercilessly attack Koro-sensei with his tentacles. While it seems he's got him cornered, it was revealed that his brother managed to narrowly escape by using his molting technique. Shiro pointed out that the molting and regeneration drained his stamina considerably. Itona continues to attack relentlessly with his tentacles, with Koro-sensei barely keeping up his speed to block them. Shiro then shines the beam, and with Koro-sensei gone rigid, Itona lops off some more tentacles, gradually making Koro-sensei weaker and will soon kill him. The students of Class E see just how this bothers them, and Koro-sensei begins noting that the assassination was actually a meticulously calculated plan, and that if he wishes for answers, he'll have to win the match. Shiro taunts him, and he says that there will be one more thing he forgot to take into account, which was his main weakness, the anti-sensei weapons, and that if his tentacles are truly the same as his, then they would share this weakness. Koro-sensei then proceeds to trap Itona in the skin he molted and throws him out of the rink, giving him the win. This deeply angers Itona, causing his tentacles to turn black, and he begins to attack, only to be stopped by Shiro, who shot him with a tranquilizer dart. He picks him up and begins to leave, stating that Itona will be allowed to return to school soon enough. Vision time. Itona and Shiro make their second appearance following Takaoka's short stint as a PE teacher. The pair manipulates the isolated Terasaka in completing the preparations for the next strike. After Terasaka finishes spiking the newly created pool with chemicals, Itona gets into his face, stating that he has no vision and therefore weak. The next day, Itona and Shiro activate their plan by having Terasaka unwittingly destroy the dam containing the pool water, making everyone in the pool swim uncontrollably towards the cliff. Itona strikes after Koro-sensei saves most of the students from danger, having planned this from the start. Koro-sensei, already weakened from the laced water and Terasaka's pesticide smoke bomb from the day before, barely blocks Itona's tentacle, but also keeping an eye on Sumerehara precariously hanging on a cliff branch. When Terasaka realizes that he had been manipulated, he challenges Itona to fight him. At Shiro's orders, Itona strikes Terasaka squarely in the chest with his tentacle. However, Terasaka catches hold of it and reveals that the shirt he wrapped around still reeked with yesterday's pesticide spray. Since Itona had the same tentacles as Koro-sensei's, Itona sneezes and becomes disoriented. He is soon surrounded by the students, none too pleased at being used, who splash him with the same laced water while Koro-sensei saves Hara from danger. Recognizing their strategy had failed, Shiro beckons Itona to retreat despite Koro-sensei once more requesting that Itona join the class. Itona's time. Itona makes a cameo after hearing about the class's unsuccessful attempt to assassinate Koro-sensei in Okinawa. Shiro concocts an elaborate plan to trap Koro-sensei by first using his perverted hobbies in framing him for committing heinous acts, then ambushing him based on the class's strategies. Itona ambushes Koro-sensei when the latter is surrounded by anti-sensei fabric. By this time, however, Koro-sensei had anticipated the plan and easily countered Itona's attacks. The repeated failures have now started to take a toll on Itona. The tentacle's power is consuming his consciousness. Not satisfied with this, Shiro abandons the boy and departs, leaving Itona to run away mentally unstable. He soon rampages throughout Kinokagaoka, attacking several electronic stores for a couple of nights. Itona is later cornered by the students, but Shiro and his men kidnap the boy and threaten to kill him to lure out Koro-sensei. The class, however, are fed up at becoming collateral damage for Shiro's various plans and grudgingly rescue Itona. Their success prompts Shiro to leave and rethink his approach. Without the means to calm Itona's tentacles, Koro-sensei discovers that if not taken off, Itona will likely die. In the meantime, Itona's forehead was wrapped in an anti-sensei net made into a large bandana to cover his tentacles. Terasaka and his group tried various methods to calm Itona down, one being Muromatsu's homemade ramen that Itona doesn't like, until students discovered the key is Itona's background, the electronic stores. Once calmed down, Koro-sensei removes the tentacles. Itona is grateful for their assistance and finally joins Class E in their assassination. Due to Terasaka and his friends' involvement, he begins hanging out with them, though still unimpressed by Muromatsu ramen. Fitting in with Class E. Although his tentacles have been removed, Itona has retained some of his physical abilities. For instance, he was Class E's secret weapon during their athletic festival match against the numerically superior Class A and was instrumental in bringing Class A's pole down. His high level of intelligence has also been revealed when building and customizing RC vehicles for reconnaissance purposes. Finally, he learns to be patient and wait for the right opportunity to strike. During the God of Death incident, he realizes the huge difference in combat skills between him, Terasaka, and the God of Death, and opted to surrender and wait for rescue rather than unnecessarily harming themselves. In general, Itona has fit in well with his classmates, and his IQ was enough for him to be among the top 50 in the second semester finals. When Kaede Kayano launched a surprise attack on Koro-sensei prior to the end of the semester, Itona especially was surprised to see that Kayano also had tentacles. When asked for an explanation based on his experiences, Itona noted that Kayano must have endured a lot of pain to have been able to stay sane for so long. He and the rest of the class later witnessed her near-suicidal attempt on Koro-sensei's life, which ended when Nagisa kissed her and afterward listened to Koro-sensei telling about his past. Schism time, Class 3E Civil War. Koro-sensei's story had dampened the class's enthusiasm to kill him. This came to the point where the class became divided over whether to continue killing their teacher or attempt to find a way to save him. Itona was among those who sided with the kill faction. For much of the ensuing war, Itona tried to customize an RC drone for reconnaissance but failed, otherwise largely protecting Rinka Hayami from being killed. Eventually, most of the few surviving SAVE team launched a frontal attack on the pair. Hayami took out 2 of them before being shot by Toka Yada. Itona eliminates Yada from behind but is immediately cut down by Maehara, the last survivor of the attack. Aftermath. After graduating from high school, Itona was revealed to be working at his father's factory. When he was asked what would happen if the factory collapsed like it had done previously, Itona simply replied that he would ask Muramatsu and Yoshida, who had both completed business management courses in preparation for taking over their respective family businesses, for help. Did you enjoy our video? Be sure to check out these other great videos from the Amagi, especially those of Assassination Classroom, which I voiced, and make sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos. Thank you for watching. I'm out.